Hello, viewers across the world. Welcome to Around the World of Sports, right here on Africa Sports Network. Yes, my name is Sam. You already know what time it is. Today, I have the privilege of hosting this Houston Sports Encyclopedia, Maanav Gupta of MSG Sports Talk. When I, stumbled upon his profile on all the social media platforms, I was highly impressed. His depth in knowledge of Houston sports and all that. And that triggered my interest in hosting on my show. And today, it finally materialized. Welcome to Africa Sports Network, Maanav Gupta of MSG Sports Talk.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Sam. Appreciate the invite and happy to be here.
What got you into sports journalism or sportscasting?
I've always had such a great interest in sports ever since I was 9 years old. Started watching American football. The NFL, was a huge fan of it. Immediately became interested because, sports is such a great platform where you see these amazing athletes do such an incredible job. And just to see them play and do their thing on the field is really cool for me. I just found it interesting. Had a natural interest in sports, and ever since then I've just been so fond of watching American football. Then I got into basketball, watching the NBA, and then started following baseball. The Houston Astros team here has done a really great job. They won the World Series again this year, so just expanding my knowledge into all sports. And then of course soccer. I really enjoy watching this year's World Cup. So I just have a great interest in sports because anything can happen at any moment. You just never know what could happen. And just that unexpected, moment in the game where, you get so surprised and you love it is just how I got interested. And then that's when I realized, I think I should try and make my mark in the industry. I want to become a sports broadcaster. So that's when I created a sports blog. I started writing about sports first initially. I used to make my predictions for games, and then because I want to go on camera, I want to talk in front of a camera. That's when I started my YouTube channel, and that's where I've reached out to a whole lot of people on Twitter, athletes, broadcasters, and invited them onto my show, and it's been an amazing journey.
It's been an incredible journey, man. Look at how you chronicled, how you started, to reach out to folks. So that's a very interesting aspect of it. When you look at the Houston sports landscape, what do you see?
I see a lot of young talent. The Houston Rockets NBA team, they're a very young team. A lot of players are 20, 21, and even 19 years old, and they have a lot of potential. This Houston Rockets team, they've been winning a couple of games recently, so that's been kind of exciting for Houston. The Rockets are a very talented team. Jalen Green is a very great player. Alperen Şengün from Turkey, he's outstanding. Kevin Porter Jr. You have so many really talented players, and 19-year-old Jabari Smith, who they drafted this year. So the Rockets are a very young team, very talented, so I like them. The Texans, the NFL team here, they're also very young. They have some young talent, but they still have a long way to go. So you're seeing some rebuilding teams here in Houston. And then the only one team that's, at the top is the Houston Astros baseball team. They won the World Series. So that team is on a whole nother level, but the majority of Houston sports are still in the rebuilding stage.
Yeah, I was about to ask you that because the city of Houston, we've not been lucky in several of our teams bringing in titles to the city, like the Dynamo have made the playoff in the last 4, 5, 6 seasons. The Houston Rockets are yet to win the title since Akeem Olajuwon won it last for them. The Texans have not even made it to the Super Bowl in their franchise history. Right now, I can't even define what the Texans look like at this point in time. The only team, the Houston Dash, yes, the last won the NWSL Challenge Cup, and they were in the playoff for the first time this past season. The only team that bring joy, glory, happiness to this city is the Astros, which you rightly mentioned. And I see that behind you, right? I can see that bat right there. How did you acquire that?
Yeah, so Jose Altuve, I had the chance to meet him. He was kind enough On Twitter one day, I was like, I just asked if I could, I reached out to the Astros organization, told them my story, and how I'm an aspiring broadcaster. And I asked them, would I be able to meet Jose Altuve? Can we arrange that somehow? And, the Astros organization, they've been so nice, and they've seen my story, what I've been able to do. And, they were kind enough to allow me to interview Jose Altuve. And then Altuve was so nice. He is one of the best guys in baseball. Super down to earth. And, luckily enough, he makes time for his fans. He wants to make, whenever his fans visit him whenever his fans, talk to him or meet him, he wants to make it really special. And luckily for me, he was able to give me one of his own bats, and that was very, very special.
Man, I know you treasure that bat for the rest of your life. I wish I have such a memorabilia in my collections, because from Jose Altuve, one of the best bat for the Astros, that's very good. Right, let's go into this the soccer aspect of the World Cup is about to come to an end tomorrow. Croatia just defeated Morocco 2-1 to win the third place playoff. So tomorrow between Argentina and defending champions France, who became the first team in the last 2 decades to make it back-to-back finals. And when you look at that finals, everybody's talking about Messi deserve to win the World Cup. And do you think the World Cup is a compensatory trophy to give, as a parting gift to a player?
It's obviously very difficult to win a World Cup, and everyone, around the world, they want Messi to win this one because this is obviously his last World Cup match. And, nothing is ever handed to you in the World Cup. I think, a whole bunch of teams realize that. Where you look at Morocco, they beat Portugal 1-0, and you see these teams making their runs, and, nothing's ever going to be handed to you the way, Croatia beat Brazil. Brazil was so confident, and, sometimes nothing is going to be ever handed to you just because you're the better team. So, teams have learned that, such as Brazil, where Croatia kept fighting. So it's going to be a very, very difficult, every match is very difficult, and it's never going to be easy, but, people want Messi to do it. This is Messi's World Cup. And, if he can get it done, that would be outstanding. I think a lot, fans all over the world would really appreciate what he's done even more. And, I think I think Messi definitely needs to, get this World Cup win. I think, if he can do it, I think there'd be even more appreciation. Everyone knows how great Messi is, one of the greatest soccer players in the history, of the sport. And if he's able to get this done, I think the appreciation for him will go through the roof.
I mean, you follow the World Cup from the opening game, to this last to the last game that will taking place tomorrow. What can you say has been your memorable match or event or something about the World Cup?
There are a lot of incredible moments throughout this World Cup. I would say, there are 2 that really stand out for me. Morocco's run to reach a semifinal, being the first African nation to reach a semifinal, was truly incredible. I never expected them to go as far as they did. They have great players, Hakimi, Ziyech, of course, great players on their team. But, they're placed in Group F, where we have Belgium, you have Croatia. So, I mean, to see them being able to go through at the top of Group F, where they were be able to beat Belgium 2-0. Belgium, obviously, a very, very disappointing performance for them. But to see the way Morocco just battled throughout the World Cup and just found ways to get it done. They never had a lot of possession, but in transition, they were lethal as a team. They were able to make use of a couple opportunities and then, just hang in there and then, take it to penalties against Spain. And, to just beat them the way they did and perform in those big moments was really outstanding to me. I think Morocco had an incredible journey to finish 4th in this tournament. Hats off to them. And then the other match I would say that really stood out to me was Croatia versus Brazil. That game was insane, particularly because it went into extra time. We saw Neymar get that goal in, and I thought the match was over at that point. But then to see Croatia tie it up with, get the equalizer with 3-4 minutes to go was incredible. And then for them to finish it the way they did in penalty kicks, and really, really surprised to not see Neymar in that position too. He never even got a chance to kick a penalty. So those two stories for me stood out.
Right, just like you mentioned the game between Brazil and Croatia, that Neymar never had a chance to take his own kick. I look at it this way, why do star players, leaders in a team wait to be the one to take the last kick? Why not lead your team with the opening? Look at what Messi did for Argentina against the Dutch when he started the kick, because that first kick, kind of it is an inlet. It gives those coming behind you a great deal of confidence, for them to, get their own kick right. Then why do you think star players, some of them will wait to take the last kick, and sometimes they may not even have a chance to even take it?
Yeah, it's a good question, and personally, it's hard to say. But I think Neymar, at the end of the day, I mean, this is just my assumption that he wanted the glory of kicking the final one to get Brazil the win. I think he wanted the glory of that final shot, and it never came around. And you just cannot take those chances if you're the star player, if you're the leader of this team. You're absolutely right. I think Neymar should have been the first one to kick, just like Messi did. And unfortunately, that was not the case. And you have to do what's best for the team, not what's best for you at the end of the day.
Yeah, I appreciate that honesty. You got to do it's for the team, it's not individual, because waiting to take that self-glory may amount to disaster. Now, here another question. The officiating so far in the World Cup, we see sometimes referees will add like 10 minutes, 12, 14 minutes, in extra time, and people complain why. How can you rate the quality of officiating in this World Cup?
Yeah, it's been kind of mixed. There've been some good calls, obviously some bad, and that's just how it is in sports, And they're humans. Every call cannot be perfect at the end of the day. But I think what the officials are trying to do is play out the 90 minutes as accurately as possible, which is why they've been adding a lot of stoppage time to try and make those minutes as accurate as possible. And I like to see that, but they haven't been giving out a lot of red cards this tournament, and the yellow cards have been inconsistent a little bit here and there. So I would like to see more consistency in how the officials have been doing it. And in this third place match, we saw a referee who hasn't been doing many matches. He was assigned a third place match, and you want to see refs who have a lot of experience and a lot of they've done a lot of games in this World Cup. You want those kind of officials, refereeing those big matches. So hopefully we'll see a well-officialed game tomorrow in the final, because we want it to be a fair result as 100%. We really want it to be a fair result between Argentina and France, because that game is going to be very, very close.
It's going to be very close. People are saying that when Spain won the World Cup in South Africa 2010, they lost their opening game and they went all the way to win it. Now Argentina lost their opening game to Saudi Arabia. Even France lost, I think, their last game to Tunisia. So both of the teams lost one game during the group stage. Where do you think tomorrow's game will be lost and won?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was really surprising, obviously, to see Argentina lose against Saudi Arabia, but Messi has referred to it that was a good thing for the team. I think you should learn from the mistakes, and I think it was just realizing, okay, Argentina still has a lot of work to do, and I think it's that Argentina team realizing that, okay, we still have stuff to work on and what we can improve on, and since then they have been unstoppable. They haven't lost a match, and they've just been on a roll. Beating Mexico 2-0, and just going on from there. So I think it's been really, really impressive to see what they've been able to do. And you're referring to wait, let me see. Sorry about that. The background, I just noticed that messed up. I'm so sorry about that.
No problem.
Let me fix that really quick for you. If it doesn't fix, I'll just turn off the TV. I'm so sorry about that.
Oh, not a problem. The game tomorrow, I think it will be a very interesting game, because France, they came to this World Cup with entirely different set of players, just few, addition from the ones that won it 4 years ago. Look at the midfield: no Kante, no Karim Benzema, and they were able to churn out a team that took them all the way to the finals. And I think it will be a great finals tomorrow between France and Argentina. And I think the engine room of that French team has been Antoine Griezmann. I call him the Antoine the Chameleon. You never know where he's coming from. He's the one pulling the strings. And the guy that replaced Kante, Aurelio, is it Tuakume? That guy has been phenomenal for France. Look at no Karim Benzema, World Player of the Year, but the offense kept firing in all cylinders. Mbappe 5 goals during the group stage, yet to score in the knockout, yet to score. Since then, but at the end of the day, he set the pace of the Golden Boot. Even though Messi, because of 3 assists, is ahead of Mbappe in the race for the Golden Boot. But at the end of the day, like I asked you earlier, where do you think the game will be lost and won?
Yeah, I think France's journey has been really good. They've been one of the favorites in the tournament, and they're going to be trying to become the first repeat champions in over 60 years tomorrow. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they can do. And they were rolling through the group stage. Obviously, that last match against Tunisia was not the ideal result that they would have wanted. But at the end of the day, that match didn't really mean much towards their result because they were still at the top of the group. And they've just been rolling. You have so many guys who can, score and get, match winners on their team. And, you mentioned a great point. Antoine Griezmann has been so exceptional in terms of, setting up his teammates and, putting them in a position to win 3 assists in this tournament so far. So I think Griezmann's been really crucial in terms of putting the team in a position to succeed. And Mbappe, of course, in the lead for the Golden Boot with 5 goals. He's been incredible, of course. And, he may have not scored so far, in the knockout stages, but, he's been making, the team a whole lot better. And, he's one of the biggest soccer icons in the world right now, Kylian Mbappe doing his thing. So I've just been so impressed with France. You see, even without, Benzema or Pogba, they've been injured. But you see guys coming in, taking their place, such as Olivier Giroud, who has had 4 goals. So I really like how deep France is and how strong they've been throughout this tournament.
Well, like you said, for me, sometimes I would say that the most important signing a club can make is a manager, not even players. Because if you have great players and poor management team, excuse me, if you have great team and poor management crew, the team will perform badly. So the most important piece of a team is the technical crew. Didier Deschamps, about to become one of those few coaches, if he wins tomorrow, to be a repeat champion. Do you think his achievement and contribution to the French national team is being downplayed? Because people don't really talk about him like that. They don't talk about the players. What about the manager pulling the strings?
Yeah, I agree. You make a great point right there. I think Deschamps has been incredible. He deserves a lot of credit for how this team has been performing on the big stages. And, you mentioned it. Everyone keeps talking about the star players on the French team, and rightfully so. But I think some credit also goes to the manager for putting them in those positions and just managing the team while putting his players in a way to where they can benefit the team the most. And I think a lot of credit goes to him, the experience that he brings. He's done a really great job.
Done a great job. All right, now before we round up, let's come back to our Houston sports scene. The University of Houston men's basketball team ranked #1 currently in the nations, and with some Mattress Mac betting $1 million, are they going to win the NCAA championship? What do you make out of that?
Yeah, Mattress Mac is definitely betting on the Houston Cougars, just like he did with the Astros, and I think it shows that Houston has a lot of confidence in the University of Houston men's basketball team for performing. They have a really exceptional team, really great head coach, Kelvin Sampson. So the team is very, very good this year. They have a big match today itself against Virginia. They're the #2 team. So it's going to be interesting to see how far UH can make it. But the NCAA Final Four is here in Houston this year. So it sets a really good table for the Cougars men's basketball team to perform and, take it all the way here in Houston and get it done. Here it would be a big moment for the city. It's a really great team. A lot of teams in Houston are rebuilding, but the Houston Cougars men's basketball team is one of those teams that has a championship aspiration. So Houston has high hopes. They just need to deliver it on their end.
Prediction for tomorrow's game.
Sorry, what was the question?
I say your prediction for tomorrow's game.
Oh, prediction, yes. So I think it's going to be very close, but I'm going with France in this one. A 2-1. So, we'll see what happens. Personally, I would love to see Messi win it, but France just has so much depth. I mean, they've been such an impressive story. No Benzema, no Pogba, and a number of injuries.
No N'Golo Kante.
Yeah, Kante as well. So they've had injuries. Team they've been some sickness, I guess, running through the team, but now they're healthy, and they're ready to go. They have so many playmakers. Olivier Giroud's been great, Griezmann, Mbappe, of course, and just the way they've been getting it done. Somehow, some way, they find a way to do it and get that goal in early. They get the lead. I think it's going to be very close. I think Messi will perform really well. He has been performing outstanding, of course, during this entire tournament. I'd love to see Messi get it done, but I just think France has, too many people who can win the game for them.
I think, yeah, I buy your line of analysis. I think France will edge Argentina because Messi will be playing against the entire PSG team, and they know him so well, in PSG. And also, I have a dog in this fight. Right now I'm a fan. I'm a full-fledged Liverpool supporter, and Kanote is my player. I want him to get a World Cup winning medal, so that's why I'm going for France to be a repeat champion in this soccer World Cup. What will you remember? For example, after the 2010 World Cup in South Africa, there was a legacy of things we can remember: the Jabulani, the match ball. The name became so popular. Vuvuzela, became a popular, World Cup icon in 2010. What will you remember 2022 World Cup for in Qatar?
I think, there's a lot to remember in this World Cup. I think here in the US, I think seeing that US men's national team make that run and just, trying to grow the game more here in the US, because at the end of the day, the 2026 World Cup is going to be in North America. So right here. So there are going to be a couple of matches here in Houston as well. So you want to see soccer continue to grow in the US. So that US men's national team, they made a good run. This World Cup, they obviously lost in the round of 16, but for them to reach there, Christian Pulisic had that great goal against Iran. They're able to, have a scoreless tie against England, 0-0. So that was impressive. So I think that run is going to stand out to a lot of people here in the US in terms of growing the game. And it really depends on what happens tomorrow, on what I think a lot of people are going to remember, because, of course, if Messi and Argentina win, then people are obviously going to remember this was Messi's World Cup and he got it done. He got his World Cup title. But if France gets it done, you're going to remember them as the first repeat champions in, 60 years. So I think a lot rides on tomorrow and what people are going to remember for this World Cup. But it's been pretty incredible.
Pretty incredible. A lot of history is at stake. Tomorrow's finals between France and Argentina. France aiming to be the first repeat champion in 60 years. Messi, aiming to cement his place as one of the greatest of all time in the game of soccer or football. It's been a pleasure hanging out with you today, MSG Sports Talk. Maanav Gupta, really appreciate your in-depth knowledge about sports in general. Thank you very much for affording me the opportunity in having this chat with you.
Thank you so much, Sam, for the invite. Of course, sorry that I got back to you late, but appreciate the invite. Thank you so much for the kind words, and really enjoyed our conversation, and thank you for having me.
No, it's not about whether late. The point is that it happened. It doesn't matter if it already happened. Really appreciate that, man. Thanks very much, man. God bless you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.